So the summer Steam sale just started last Thursday, and as I'm making this video, that would have been 2 days ago. And I've just noticed that there really aren't that many great deals anymore. Like, I remember when I started my very first Steam account when I was about 12 or so, you could get like decent games, like brand new games for anywhere from $20 to $40 on sale when they're usually 50 or 60. And you could also get a couple of indie games for like literal pennies on the dollar, like 50 cents, 74 cents, you know. And I just feel like right now there isn't a whole lot of value anymore when it comes to Steam. Like, it's still better than like Xbox or the Sony PlayStation Store, but at the same time, like, they've created this idea that you're going to get a good deal, especially during the seasonal sales. So summer and winter in particular. Spring and fall sales are a bit less of a big deal, but just the sheer number of games that I have on my wish list that just didn't go on sale is kind of insane. Like Dead Rising didn't get any sort of discount. You got the Monster Rancher game that didn't go on sale at all. Or you have other games that should probably be a little bit less, like Tower Unite, which is a relatively old game that just came out of early access, it looks like. And they want $20 base, but right now it's about $14 USD. So, I mean, things are kind of tight, and I can definitely tell that. I know that on my old Steam account, for example, I could have bought pretty much every item on my wish list and done so for about $300 about 5 or 6 years ago. But now, like, to buy the same games, I'm probably going to pay about $100 more even during a sale. So it's just really kind of disappointing as a game collector. But at the same time, you know, it's better than paying $80 for a new Nintendo game. And that's a whole nother beast. But yeah, like, the main draw of Steam, especially like 10 years ago, was that you could buy a whole lot of games for next to nothing on what somebody like GameStop would try and sell you. Like, that was the main appeal. But now that physical sales are basically non-existent, like Xbox isn't even making a console that has a disc drive anymore, right? And Sony PlayStation is also sort of phasing out the disc drive. You know, physical media is kind of dying, and it's unfortunate, but that means that Steam kind of just wanted to ride that out until it could dominate. And I totally understand that from a business perspective. However, at the same time, when you have a core demographic that's used to buying like really cheap games for, again, pennies on the dollar, and that's not to say that there aren't deep discounts, but what's considered a deep discount now is not quite the same as what it was 5 or 6 years ago before the gaming boom of the early 2020s. And I understand that, but at the same time, like, I'm used to having things be a certain price. Like, I remember you used to be able to get a $10 game, for example, for $2.50 during big sales. And that was usually across the board. Of course, you had a couple of outliers, but like, I remember being able to go up and buy Gary's Mod for $2.50 about 10 years ago during a sale. Of course, I bought that copy off sale, but that's aside the point. Now, I spent, I believe it was $6 or $7 for Gary's Mod only a couple years later. I mean, the game's not getting any newer. It is a classic, especially for the Steam platform. But at the same time, I don't really think that that justifies over like doubling the price basically over that period of time. And I understand that, profitability and things like that for video games can fluctuate heavily. And I know that Steam definitely wants its royalties paid and things like that. And especially when they're facilitating a sale, like, I get that. I'm not certain how it works from the game developer's perspective. I'm sure that they're able to opt in or opt out of sales. However, I'm not 100% on that at this time. But I think that the way that things are going right now, I can't really say that we can change it, but I'm just trying to point out that the sales aren't as good as they used to be. It used to be that were tons of developers that were getting super involved, right? And trying to sell their game for next to nothing. But, again, I get it, especially with new developers, like that's just not feasible a lot of the time, especially with discoverability concerns, things like that. But I feel like you could benefit as a developer from selling your games on sale, and you could have a lot of people just impulse buy. But at the same time, like, I get that gaming is a passion and an art for a developer. And so I feel like a lot of them will feel like that would cheapen their thing. But at the same time, exposure is exposure, you know? And I think that, you kind of have to approach it from the lens of the gamer and the developer, and also understand how Steam works under the hood. I am aware that Steam does have royalties on each sale and other things like that. And I believe there's also $100 submission fee, I believe. At least that's how it was when Steam Greenlight was a thing, like forever ago. But I think that it'd be nice if things could go back to normal, but at the same time, I'm aware that that's not really possible. But I think that another thing is that there's also a piracy problem, especially for older games that are getting remastered and things like that, where people are just going out and trying to find it for next to nothing or just pick it up for free. But I think that also just shows that, there is a market for those, but again, we're being charged too much. So there's just a lot of problems that I think are coming into why there aren't as many good deals as there used to be. And I hope that you enjoy hearing my 2 cents on this matter. I know that's not really important. Like, video games are a luxury good. And, I think that in a perfect world, things will be like they were back in like 2015, but, that's just not how it's going to work. If you like this video, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. Also leave a like, because that will help with the YouTube algorithm. And if I'm able to reach 1,000 subscribers by August 15th, I would be ecstatic.